Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at some of the undercard action at Belmont Stakes Saturday here at Saratoga as we come to you from the beautiful Saratoga paddock. Race 11 is the Grade 1 Woody Stephens going the 7 furlong distance for the 3-year-olds. One of the most interesting races to handicap on the entire Belmont Stakes Saturday card. And speaking of handicapping Belmont Stakes Saturday, you want to check out our Belmont Stakes packages at shop.drf.com. If you bundle everything that you get in one of these packages as opposed to buying these things individually, you could save up to 52% of the value on everything included in these packages, which give you the all-access PPs, Classic Formulator, and Timeform US, as well as the clock reports for Mike Welsh and his team, the betting strategies that Mike and I'll be writing for Saturday, so make sure to check that out at shop.drf.com. Also, if you're watching this video, make sure to give us the thumbs up, hit the like button, also leave us a comment with who you like and are most looking forward to seeing in the Belmont Stakes Saturday races. Mike, this Woody Stephens, like I said, one of the most intriguing races to handicap on this card. As a morning line maker, I hate to go as high as 4-1 with a morning line favorite. I like to be a little more decisive than that, but it just felt hard to really peg anybody as the horse to beat in this race.
It does feel like one of those races too. I mean, we got a lot of like really good horses showing up between Friday and Saturday, and there are some really heavy favorites. I don't even know who the horse to beat is in this Woody Stephens. This race is wide open, really, really interesting betting race.
I made the number 10, Chancellor McPatrick, the slight favorite at 4-1, but he feels like a horse that will appreciate the turn back and distance, has to improve to beat some of these horses from the speed figure standpoint. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out, and what could be key to Chancellor McPatrick's chances in this race is the Timeform US pace projector. How this race plays out on the front end, we'll take a look at that pace projector, and as always is the case in this Woody Stephens, there is plenty of speed signed on, and it's going to be interesting to see who is most aggressive out of the starting gate. It kind of feels like the number 3, Macho Music, has to go forward, given how successful he was using that style last time out. But I'll be interested to see how some of the turnbacks are ridden in this race.
Yeah, I agree with you. The pace, I do think there's a real chance it gets fast up front early in this race, but the pace is still not that easy to decipher. Your point about Macho Music's really well taken. I know he's dropping back a furlong here, but all of his good races are when they just send this horse off to the lead, and I suspect that will be the plan here.
And Bob Baffert's got the 2 in here, Madikit Road and Citizen Bull. Blinkers are coming off one of them, going on the other, so we'll see if Madikit Road is the more aggressively ridden of the 2. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Big Truz, a horse who is spotting some experience to the rest of the field, but he has shown talent in those 2 starts to date. His debut victory at Keeneland was pretty breathtaking because he was rated off the pace under a big hold early, and once Luis Saez unleashed him, he showed a real turn of foot to put that field away. And horses have come back out of that race, including the runner-up, to validate that speed figure, even suggest it could have been higher. And he came back in an allowance race on Kentucky Derby Day, and noteworthy to point out, just 3 weeks after that big debut win. So they were rushing him a little bit to get into that race. He ran into a good horse in Patch Adams, who will face off against here. Tried to make a move after that foe on the far turn, was going wide and doing so, got turned away late. But Mike, this horse does feel like one with the potential to potentially get to this level.
I agree with everything you said about him. His debut was super impressive, and I'm not surprised now that Brian Lynch is starting to look for some stakes races for this horse, as well as he ran last time too, David. I mean, yeah, he was only second best in that race to Patch Adams, but Patch Adams was making his 5th start. He was dropping out of a couple of graded stakes races. He was turning back in distance. This horse was right off of a maiden win, and he almost got by. This horse ran great last time.
Yeah, and he broke out in that race, had to be aggressively used to go wide every step of the way, breaking from the rail, switching to Joel. I think they're going to take this horse back a little bit, and I'm not upset about that because he does have a big finish on him. The number 2 is Madikit Road, one of 2 Bob Baffert trainees in this race that is turning back in distance. Less so of a turn back for him. He's going from the mile distance to 7 furlongs here, and he competed in the Pat Day Mile last time at Churchill Downs. And Mike, he was just run off his feet like everybody was by Macho Music. Looked like he was getting a good trip sitting in behind that foe, and once he got out at the top of the stretch, could just make no ground on the winner of that race. He's run some nice races. He's been really consistent throughout his career. I think 7 furlongs works for him. I just wonder if he's got the upside that he's going to need to go with horses like this.
Yeah, I feel like, my big takeaway too is, maybe shorter distances are ultimately just going to be better for him. And so maybe it makes a difference, David. I'm kind of with you though. I mean, all of his races are good. I don't think any of them are great. I didn't think he ran particularly well in the Pat Day Mile last time. If you want to give him the sloppy track excuse, go ahead. I don't know. I just don't think this horse is that good, and I don't want to bet him.
What do you do with the number 3, Macho Music, who has run 290-plus buyers in each of his last couple of starts? You kind of wanted to see the Tampa performance again against real horses. Well, he delivered that in the Pat Day Mile last time, beating a pretty good field and doing so by open lengths, just going fast right from the start and sustaining that speed all the way through the wire. That was over a sloppy racetrack, so again, maybe you have the question of whether we can do it on fast going, though we'll see how much rain comes on Saturday. There is some in the forecast. Potentially that could help Macho Music. Mike, turning back to the 7 furlongs doesn't feel like it's supposed to be much of a hurdle for this horse because he's done it before.
Yeah, I don't care about the turn back for this horse. And you know that you kind of know the ride you're going to get here too, which I appreciate. You're just going to go forward with this horse and see if he's good enough. Again, I kept looking at this horse over and over again, David, and asking myself, is he underrated? Or is he dressed up off of 2 wins last time that may not be as good as they look? That last one, I mean, as well as he ran the Pet Day Mile, there was just no passing going on in that race. So I don't really know how to evaluate him. You made him 8-1 on the morning line. I guess if he's 8-10-1, I'll side with him being underrated, but I still don't like him that much.
I feel like this is a way tougher race than the Pat Day Mile. Just there are more contenders to consider in this Woody Stephens, including the number 4, Patch Adams, the horse that beat the horse that we talked about first, Big Truz, last time out in that optional claiming race at Churchill Downs at the end of Derby Day. Run over a sloppy track, but this horse still produced a nice kick through the late stages to put Big Truz away and win that race going away. Mike, he's run 2 90-plus buyers in his career. They both have come over sprint distances at Churchill Downs, so we have to prove that he's not a horse that needs to carry his racetrack around with him, but I'm at least encouraged that they're finally focusing on sprint races with this horse.
I agree. I also appreciate that he's a little bit handier maybe than some of the other horses in here. He's not a horse who's going to get involved early at this pace as fast, but he will be up close. Yeah, you're right. The 2 sprints at Churchill are, they're clearly the 2 best races he ran, but this horse actually ran really well in his debut at Keeneland as well, where he's given away experience and didn't get a great trip in that race. I think this horse is pretty good.
What do we get from the number 5, Citizen Bull, who was last year's 2-year-old champion, winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, albeit with a very good trip, and then won his 3-year-old debut in the Robert B. Lewis, looking like maybe one of the top contenders for the Kentucky Derby at the time. Things clearly didn't work out later on the Kentucky Derby trail. Didn't want to go the 9 furlongs in the Santa Anita Derby. They pressed on to the Kentucky Derby anyway. He maybe interfered with some other horses' tricks at the start of that race. Maybe not maybe. Drifting out badly coming out of the starting gate. And then just had nothing left for the latter stages of that race. It always felt like he was going to be best as a 1-turn, 7 furlong to a mile horse, even going back to the 2-year-old season. They're finally focusing on those races, but is it too late?
Yeah, I wonder about that myself. I just don't really want to bet him in here. I understand why they're cutting him back. I do think, through the second half of this year, it could really work for him to run in some shorter races, and I do think he's a pretty talented horse. I just don't want to bet him off of his last 2 races, neither one of which is very good. The only time they went this distance, I would just say the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. It might not look like a great line. I really feel like they weren't necessarily trying, if I can say that, trying to win there. They were really passive with this horse early in that race and sat on the outside, and he only ran at the end.
Bob Baffert is taking the blinkers off Citizen Bull, has been training him behind horses in the morning, so I would not be surprised if they try to rate him off the pace in here, but he's never used that running style successfully. The number 6 is T-Craft, and Mike, if there's one horse in this race that has to be considered an outsider, it's probably him. He's won 3 in a row, so you can't fault that, but he's done so against weaker competition at Aqueduct. He would just have to get way faster.
Just has to jump way up with a way faster race. I actually feel like he's run really well in each of his last 3 races, but he's stepping into way deeper waters here.
The number 7 Colloquial is a tough read in this race because he's got that 106 buyer staring you in the face from when he broke his maiden at Aqueduct, did so impressively that day. That was a race that looked like the speed figure was legitimized by some subsequent performances of horses that he beat coming out of that race. Yet he came back last time in the Lafayette. We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race and was a little underwhelming. The pace was fast, but you could see him getting really tired at the end as he struggled to put that field away the way that you'd expect as the heavy favorite that he was. His training was a little bit interrupted coming into that race, so maybe there were some fitness concerns, but he is a horse that has the talent to beat a field like this if he produces his best effort.
There's no doubt about it. It may be the toughest call in this race, because if he shows up and he runs, he even ran great in his career debut, by the way. If he shows up and he runs that maiden figure, though, he's going to be an absolute handful in here. I'm kind of with you, the last one, where I was underwhelmed by it, and it kind of felt like if anybody was closing in that race, he would have gotten beaten there, but there was nobody closing in there, so he held on. I still think he's super dangerous in here. I'm sure he's going to be 100% cranked up for this race, and he showed in that big maiden win that he can sit off of horses and run.
Yeah, and they're going to go back to that stalking style here. They're not going to be as aggressive as they were last time. The number 8 is Gunmetal, another horse coming off a victory at Keeneland. He beat a pretty good allowance field, winning in early April. We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race, and the form has since been flattered, Mike, by the third place finisher Retribution coming back to win a stakes at Pimlico, and the fourth place finisher Todd Pletcher trainee coming back to win very impressively at Aqueduct next time. So Gunmetal's got a couple of 90-plus buyers that make him a serious player in here, but the one race where they tried Stakes Company, and of course he's forced to come off Lasix in that race, was pretty disappointing. So it leaves him with some questions about whether or not he can produce his best form against Stakes Company without Lasix.
His swell is a very big concern for me. He just did not run well in that race as fast as he ran, winning his career debut as well. That race was never really confirmed by anybody else that ran back out of that race, including Gunmetal, who was really bad in the swell. He ran fine last time. Brad Cox has 2 in here. I preferred the other one.
We talked about Citizen Bull making that right-hand turn coming out of the starting gate of the Kentucky Derby. He really floated out the number 9, Neo Equos, who was going to show speed regardless, and he got floated out into the center of the track along with Citizen Bull. They kind of ran off dueling in the early stages of that race. I do want to give Neo Equos some credit for at least putting away Citizen Bull at the top of the stretch, and he tried to battle on into the lane, and obviously the race just kind of fell apart. He doesn't want to go the 1.25 mile distance. This horse did run admirably, though, against some really strong company through the early Derby preps in Florida, facing off against Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty, not disgraced by that foe. And he does feel like a horse that's supposed to appreciate the turn back to 1 turn 7 furlongs.
Yeah, another horse that I really like him turning back. We'll see how what kind of trip he can pull in here, because in all of his races, he sort of wanted to be involved early. He probably can't get that trip in here. We'll see how it all works out. He's just, I don't like him in here, but he's a big price and he's a real overachiever.
Is this just the right race for the number 10, Chancer McPatrick, a horse that showed so much talent in one-turn races during his 2-year-old season, winning the Hopeful from last to first, the Champagne with an eye-catching far-turn move to put that field away in a one-turn race, and his 3 2-turn dirt routes, he's just lacked that same finish each and every time. Yes, he was against a slow pace in the Tampa Bay Derby, but the Bluegrass performance, I think, really confirmed that he just lacks that kick going longer. They're turning him back. He's supposed to get some pace to close into. Just kind of feels like he probably winds up the favorite in here. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree with that. He makes a lot of sense for all the reasons you just laid out. It just feels like he has confirmed now that he doesn't want to go longer distances. He wants to go shorter distances. Each of his first 3 starts, 2 of them on this track, were really, really strong performances. He was a good 2-year-old. He has confirmed now that he doesn't want to go long. You know, it's your call, I guess. I like him in here. I think this is the right race to run him in. It's your call if you want to bet him as the favorite, because there are options in this race.
Rounding out this intriguing Woody Stevens field is the number 11 Gate to Wire, a horse who's tried many different things during his career. Started off on turf, had even effort on synthetic over the winter at Gulfstream, finally got on the dirt in the Swale and absolutely crushed a field that included Macho Music and Gunmetal, 2 horses that have to be considered contenders in this race, and that was going this 7 furlong distance. Since then, Mike, they've gone longer with him twice in a row, so he's just got that 1 dirt sprint in his past performances. If he gets back to that effort, he's a player in here, but you do have to wonder a little bit what you're going to get from a horse that's been a bit inconsistent during his career.
He has. I would just say, you know, out of the Pat Day Mile, I feel like, I know he was behind a couple of these horses. He was the horse I wanted out of that race, just because there was really no passing going on. He did pass some horses. He also had real trouble at the start of that race and just wound up outrun early. So I just don't want to be too hard on him for that performance. The Fountain of Youth, I don't care about. He doesn't really want to go that far. He showed it in that spot. This horse shaped with potential as a 2-year-old. I know it was on a different surface, but he ran some really nice races. And the thing that I really appreciated about his swell, and maybe it just turned out to not be a good race overall, but that pace was fast. He kept it in range. He came for those horses and he went right by them. I thought he ran really, really well that day.
And if you're a fan of this horse, as I think you are, Mike, you have to be encouraged by the outside draw in here, because he stayed out of the kickback almost every step of the way in that swale, and he might have the chance to do so again, breaking from the far outside post. Well, before we get to picks for this race, make sure to hit the like button on this video. Leave us a comment about who you like in this Woody Stevens. Mike, where did you go in this intriguing Grade 1 race?
Just such a good race. I didn't really want to settle for a shorter price. I wanted to go for somebody that might offer a little bit more value. I like Gate to Wire in here. I think he's going to rebound and run better in this race, and it'll be a fair price. I want to bet him. The other two horses for me are just the logical horses in here. Chancer McPatrick, I know that he can win. I probably don't want to have too much win money on him. I like a little bit of Patch Adams too.
You can make cases for so many. It's a race where you probably want to do a little bit of price shopping. I like the number 1 Big Truz. I just think this is a horse that has the talent to stack up against a field like this. We'll see if it's too much too soon, just the third start of his career, but I think taking him back and allowing him to use that finish that he has might work in this Woody Stevens. So the number 1 Big Truz for me, the number 11 Gate to Wire for Mike in race 11 on Belmont Stakes Saturday at Saratoga. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.